Thank you all for coming, and welcome to the launch of Stanford's new Institute for Human-Centered AI. My 17 years as Stanford's provost were spent at the center of one of the world's foremost academic communities. I was in regular dialogue with academic leaders from the humanities to the hard sciences, and from economics to the arts. So it's a little odd that one of the most consequential conversations of my career took place in my neighbor's driveway. It was 3 years ago, and I was discussing artificial intelligence with my friend and colleague, Fei Fei Li. We agreed that the field's sudden acceleration was exciting, but that its ultimate future was hard to predict. Encouraging outcomes were as easy to imagine as disastrous ones, and the public was taking notice. We also agreed that any endeavor so clearly capable of shaping the future had a special obligation to be inclusive. But like so many technical fields, it was a pretty homogeneous community, with backgrounds rarely straying beyond math and engineering. And of course, it was inordinately white and male. For a technology so intent on reflecting the human experience, the AI of 2016 captured a surprisingly narrow range of perspectives. Then Fei Fei changed the direction of the conversation. She wanted to talk about my efforts as provost to bring technical insights from the sciences and engineering to disciplines ranging from the humanities and medicine and law. For a long time, I had watched the growing divide between these two worlds, but felt that the innovations of tech could energize and transform more traditional fields. Fei Fei, however, saw the need for the reverse. Computer science needed a fresh dose of humanity. Fast forward a couple of years. The conversations continued and now included Fei Fei's colleagues, Chris Manning and James Landay. They shaped the vision of what was needed, and the perspective soon had a name, Human-Centered AI. A major institute was proposed, and the university's visionary leadership endorsed it. Further shaping took place during monthly meetings, first organized by Bob King, then formalized as a task force chaired by Steve Denning, Reid Hoffman, and Jerry Yang. Today, Stanford High, as we call it, is the product of a growing number of faculty contributors and far-sighted supporters, all dedicated to guiding AI toward a better future. So what exactly is Stanford High? It's a research initiative, certainly, and many avenues of study are already being explored under its auspices. We intend to develop new technologies and prototype new applications. But it aims to do much more. It's intended to inform and even shape public policy, not unlike the many policy institutes found on campus. Now, we make no claim to have answers to the many difficult questions raised by AI, but we're committed to convening the key stakeholders in an informed, fact-based quest to find those answers. To do so, we need partners at other universities and in industry, government, and civil society. And because we're situated at one of the world's most vibrant intellectual communities, Stanford High is tasked with challenging our students on campus to think about AI in new ways. But we also intend to promote the human-centered perspective through ambitious external programs tailored to the needs of professionals from government, industry, and the public at large. Stanford High is all these things: research, policy, education, and outreach, at a global scale with an emphasis on inclusion and academic cross-pollination. The colored threads that make up the distinctive High typeface symbolize human diversity in all of its forms, and their weaving together reminds us of our common humanity. We firmly believe that working together, we can build a better future with AI. We hope that you will join us. So it's now my pleasure to introduce one of High's earliest and most steadfast supporters, Stanford President Mark Tessier-Levine. Mark has been Stanford's president since 2016 and holds degrees in philosophy and physiology. He's conducted groundbreaking research on the developing brain and the causes and treatment of degenerative brain diseases. Prior to his current role, Mark was president of Rockefeller University. And before that, he was executive vice president for research at Genentech. And even before that, he was on the faculty at Stanford, where as provost, I successfully recruited him, but then was an abysmal failure in retaining him. So please join me in welcoming Mark to the stage.
Well, thank you very much, John, for that kind introduction, and welcome to you all to the inaugural symposium on the Stanford Institute for Human-Centered Artificial Intelligence. It's really just wonderful to have such an esteemed group of colleagues gathered here from Stanford, from our peer institutions, along with representatives from industry, from government, and from civil society. I'm so excited that you could all be here to join us, because today, Stanford is launching something truly new and truly special. Our human-centered approach to artificial intelligence holds the promise to help revolutionize our thinking about artificial intelligence, to extend its potential, and to improve human quality of life around the world. Now, we're launching at a pivotal moment. Artificial intelligence technology is advancing by leaps and by bounds. Many of us now use AI every day in our workplaces and our homes. It's becoming part of the fabric of everyday life in a way that we couldn't have imagined even a few short years ago. And we're only at the beginning of what may be a radical transformation in how we live our lives. The pace of technological change, we all know, has been quickening, and it's speeding up even more. It's said that human experience has changed more in the last 100 years than it did in the last 1,000 years. And I think we all believe that the next 100 will bring greater change still. Now, the pace of change is reshaping human society more profoundly than ever before, and artificial intelligence will represent another huge shift. AI has the potential to change society for the better in so many ways, from promising medical applications to vastly safer cars. But the advance of AI also carries risk, from job insecurity to the influence of AI-generated content on social media to the potential for bias in machine learning. And now is really the moment to ensure that we're embarking along a path to develop technology that will serve, augment, and complement humanity, not replace or divide it. We've been considering this breathtaking pace of change as we plan for Stanford's future and think about what it means to be a purposeful university in the 21st century. In our long-range vision for Stanford, which we articulated at a very high level last May, we outlined ways that the university can take new approaches to deepen knowledge, to address global challenges, and to accelerate our contributions to society in order to shape a brighter future for the entire world. The Stanford Institute for Human-Centered Artificial Intelligence, or Stanford HI, was born from the realization that we have the opportunity to both mitigate these risks and amplify the promise of AI. Its goal is not only to advance the technology and application of artificial intelligence, of course, areas in which Stanford has been so strong, but also to understand and to guide the impact of AI on humanity and on our world. The Institute was founded on the twin beliefs that artificial intelligence should be inspired by human intelligence, but that its development must be guided by its human impact. We envision a future for artificial intelligence that foregrounds human values and ideals and considers the ethical implications of the technology as well as its societal impact. And we believe that Stanford is uniquely positioned for this work. Stanford's been at the forefront of AI since John McCarthy founded the Stanford Artificial Intelligence Lab in 1962. The lab was the site of many critical milestones in AI over the last half-century, and it still, to this day, remains an intellectual hub for leaders in machine learning. The Stanford Human-Centered Artificial Intelligence Institute will draw on this rich tradition in scientific innovation, as well as Stanford's strength across the humanities and social sciences and its interdisciplinary culture to spark creative advances in machine learning and better understand its impact on humanity. Now, a human-centered approach requires that we focus diverse ways of thinking on artificial intelligence. In fact, the diversity of those working in AI must reflect the diversity of the people the technology will serve. That's the only way to effectively mitigate the risk of bias in the technology, especially in machine learning. It also means that it must be a multidisciplinary effort, one that encompasses the arts and the humanities and the social sciences in addition to the natural sciences and to engineering. So the Institute will draw on the university's strength across disciplines and harness Stanford's collaborative spirit. Experts in areas from economics and law to literature and philosophy to neuroscience and medicine will work alongside leaders in computer science, engineering, and robotics to develop new models for artificial intelligence. Partners from our School of Medicine, Education, and Earth Science will help explore how AI can best serve the needs of patients, of students, of the environment. Their insights will be key to a bright future for AI, one that centers on human needs, human interests, and human values. Now, in addition to being a research hub, the Institute will also be a center for educating tomorrow's leaders to adopt a human-centered approach to AI. And it will also serve as a convener for experts and stakeholders from academia, from industry, from government, from society at large, to discuss pressing issues, identify best practices, and consider solutions to global challenges. The Institute aims to foster global dialogue and encourage responsible leadership in all sectors touched by AI. And I hope and trust that there will be many opportunities like today to bring us together to consider the future of AI. Now, today's symposium is intended to explore each of these concepts in depth and introduce you to Stanford's human-centered approach to artificial intelligence. You'll hear from Fei Fei Li, co-director of the Hai Institute and a leading figure in AI herself, from multiple panels featuring Stanford faculty, industry leaders, and colleagues from other institutions, and keynote remarks from Bill Gates and Governor Gavin Newsom. So we have an exciting day ahead of us. I'm looking forward to it, as I'm sure all of you are as well. Now, before I close, I want to acknowledge the faculty, staff, friends, and partners of Stanford whose vision and hard work has brought us here today. First and foremost, of course, John Etchemendy and Fei Fei Li, the co-directors of this extraordinary effort, for their tireless work over the past year, along with also their associate directors who worked closely with them in all of this. I'd like to thank the four deans of the schools that have been directly involved in this, John Levin, Cam Moeller, Deborah Satz, and Jennifer Whittam, for their vision and commitment to helping shape this critical endeavor in partnership with John, Fei Fei, and their colleagues. I want to thank Steve Denning, Reid Hoffman, and Jerry Yang, who served as co-chairs to the Human-Centered AI Launch Task Force. They helped galvanize a remarkable group of volunteers on the task force who met monthly to help shape this institute. So thanks also to the members of the task force who are mentioned in your documents. And a special thanks also to Bob King for his enthusiastic support and his convening power, who helped really get the task force off the ground and sustain it in the early months. Finally, there have been more than 200 faculty and staff, more than 200, from every school, from every unit on campus, who've been involved in developing Stanford's human-centered artificial intelligence approach. I couldn't be more excited about the institute that's emerged from all of this work. By putting human values and ideals at the heart of AI, I believe we have the potential to create a new renaissance of thinking and learning. I see this as the beginning of a bright future, full of possibility for humanity and our world. So thank you all again for joining us as we celebrate the launch of the Stanford Institute for Human-Centered Artificial Intelligence and embark on this ambitious project to shape a future of human-centered AI. Now, well, thank you. Before I leave the podium, however, it is my great pleasure to introduce a visionary leader in the field of artificial intelligence. Fei Fei Li, as you know, is co-director of Stanford's Institute for Human-Centered AI and a professor of computer science at Stanford. She was director of the Stanford AI Lab from 2013 to 2018 before she became HAI's co-director. She also currently co-directs the Stanford Vision and Learning Lab. Between January 2017 and the early fall of 2018, she joined Google Cloud as chief scientist of AI and machine learning during her sabbatical from Stanford. She focuses her research on machine learning, deep learning, computer vision, and cognitive and computational neuroscience. She's widely published in top-tier journals and conferences and is one of the most cited researchers in computer science in her generation. She's also a leading voice advocating for diversity in STEM and AI, and she co-founded and chairs the AI education nonprofit AI for All. She received a Bachelor's of Science in Physics from Princeton University and a PhD from Caltech. She served on the faculty at Princeton, then at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, before joining us at Stanford. We're honored to have her at the helm of Stanford High. Please join me in welcoming Fei Fei Li.
Thank you, thank you. Good morning. Let me figure out the clicker. All right. Wow, welcome. What an exciting day. I want to thank Mark for sharing with us such a fantastic vision for Stanford's future. I know I speak for John and myself, along with so many of our colleagues, students, and collaborators here at Stanford about our excitement for what we're building together. Now, I want to begin this talk by sharing with you an experience I had as an undergraduate research intern many years ago. It was 3 a.m. in the morning. I was huddled in a darkened lab with a group of fellow students. Before us was a cat under general anesthesia with an array of electrodes carefully inserted into its visual cortex. We connected the electrodes to a loudspeaker and projected moving lines before the cat's eyes. Its neurons fired in response, and through the speaker, we could hear them. Each crackling sound was a glimpse into the inner workings of a living brain. Together, they played the symphony of a mammalian visual system. The impact of that moment remained with me to this day. It was a recreation of an experiment originally performed by neurophysiologists David Hubel and Torsten Wiesel. Their work was a breakthrough and a true turning point in the field of neuroscience. It laid the foundation of visual intelligence, earned them a Nobel Prize, and provided a blueprint to the neural network architecture that is transforming the world through AI today. And they did it all in 1959. It wasn't just a feat of science. It was a true feat of imagination. It was the same spark of curiosity that drove thinkers from Plato to Descartes to Turing to look inward towards the mysteries of the mind and dare to ask how it works. Where others saw magic, they saw a scientific frontier ripe for exploration. And so, as our understanding of our world pushed ever outward through physics, chemistry, engineering, and even mathematics, our understanding of ourselves reached further inward. Today, we find ourselves surrounded by the product of that imagination. It's an era of connection, information, and technology so advanced that many are calling it the fourth industrial revolution. It's a world that offers opportunity at an incredible scale, but it presents perils as well. Artificial intelligence, a technology that has grown from an academic niche to a global phenomenon in less than a decade, has revealed itself to be both. There's no denying of it. Intelligent machines have the potential to do harm. They're susceptible to algorithmic bias, and they raise concerns over privacy, security, and job displacement. These are the pitfalls of AI. They affect real people, and they demand urgent action. As technologists, it's our responsibility to address the failings of our tools. But it's also our responsibility to realize the full extent of their potential. The world of 2019 is extraordinarily complex, perhaps verging on the limits of our own understanding, and we need smarter technology to help us make sense of it. This is the opportunities of AI. Consider climate change. Despite its urgency, we struggle to collect data at the scale and granularity necessary to fully understand it, and to coordinate energy-saving practices at a society level. Intelligent technology can help. It can integrate data at a global scale, from satellite images to electric grid sensors and to even autonomous drones, across continuous time and space. And all these can help us optimize the way we allocate resources from data centers to our homes. Then there's healthcare, access to which remains a luxury beyond the reach of so much of the world's population. But AI is already quietly transforming diagnostics as computer vision algorithm turns clinical insight into a low-cost technology. Or the sheer burden of information itself, documents, records, and even scanned paperwork on a scale far beyond our ability to process as humans. How much useful knowledge remains undiscovered in this digital clutter? With image recognition and natural language processing methods, document understanding is making it possible to find out. These are stories of how AI can augment its human counterpart, how it can provide backup and support for the ingenuity we naturally possess as the world surpasses our ability to keep up. The question is, can we have the good without the bad? To find the answer, we'll have to imagine on a larger scale than any other time in history. And the search will mark the beginning of a new chapter in AI, one that puts the need of humanity at its center and incorporates a global diversity of expertise, ideas, and perspectives. It's in this spirit that we announce the establishment of Stanford's Institute of Human-Centered AI, or Stanford HI. Its mission is to advance AI research, education, policy, and practice to improve human condition. It aims to be a global hub for dialogues, allowing every discipline to bear on the challenges of AI. And it's an invitation to all of you to join us in imagining the future together by committing to 3 fundamental principles. First, in order for AI to develop properly, we need to pair it with an ongoing study of its impact on human society and be guided accordingly. Next, the ultimate purpose of AI should be enhanced and augmented by our humanity, should enhance and augment our humanity, not diminish or replace it. And to achieve the full potential of AI, and for it to better serve our needs, it must evolve to incorporate more of the versatility, nuance, and depth of human intellect. Let's start with the technology itself. AI has developed some truly remarkable capabilities in recent years, but it remains light years behind the nuance, subtlety, and flexibility of our own intelligence. When an algorithm is driving a car on a crowded street or contributing to the outcome of a parole hearing, fluency in human experience is essential. Let's use this simple photo to illustrate the difference. The most advanced computer vision algorithm today would have no problem identifying there are objects present, such as a dog, a couch, a person, a coffee cup, and so on. But what do we see as humans? Not only can we tell the couch is damaged, but we know the dog is responsible. We can also tell, based on a simple posture, that the owner is not very happy. Perhaps best of all, we can read the look of guilt on the dog's face. And we see it all immediately. This is what our minds do. We recognize context and evoke memories effortlessly, and use analogies to understand new ideas in familiar terms. We create associations that can trigger everything from the insight of a hypothesis to a piece of poetry. We sense causal relationships between events, turning a sequence of moments into a story. And in the presence of other mind, a powerful emotional dimension emerges as well. Today's AI is impressive, but the richness of human intelligence remains unmatched. Of course, we recognize that making AI more sensitive to the full scope of human cognition is no simple task. The solution would depend on insights from neuroscience, cognitive science, and psychology, which is why Stanford High is dedicated to fostering collaborations with experts in many of these fields. Now, I want you to join me in imagining what a technology with this kind of depth and versatility might be capable of. For example, the AI of today is transforming medical diagnosis as algorithms make detection of diseases faster, more precise, and more consistent. But this is only the beginning. Put yourself in the shoes of a clinician in a crowded ER. You're surrounded by people who need help, but your first responsibility is triaging the most urgent cases. This may be manageable on an individual basis, but as the crowd gets bigger, your time and effort are spread thinner and thinner. Further complicating matters, every patient communicates in their own way and faces circumstances that you may only see in glimpses. And those needs can change at any time. How might a next generation AI-powered triaging system help? Imagine it can speed up preliminary diagnostics by understanding the context of a limb or slurred speech, cross-referencing its observations with the patient's medical records. Imagine that it can make educated guesses about a patient's emotional state based on their face and posture. And imagine it can keep an artificial eye and ear on every patient while they wait, watching for changes of their medical and emotional state and keeping the clinician up to date. And imagine it all works in real time for everyone in the ER. The effect would be transformative. Clinicians would remain face-to-face with their patients, but with less stress and greater focus. Each interaction would begin with an insightful head start, and in the ER, saving time is often saving lives. From here, it's not hard to imagine a similar application in education in the form of an AI-powered teaching assistant that can monitor class safety, review homework to gauge student comprehension, flag possible strengths and weaknesses along the way, and even assisting with the grading process. All the while, the teacher is able to focus on connecting with her students on a more personal and less distracted way. And speaking as an instructor of one of Stanford's largest deep learning classes, I can tell you it's really exciting to imagine an endless supply of free AI TAs. Even tasks like search and rescue can be made safer and more effective. Imagine low-cost drones being deployed in a disaster area. Imagine how such technology would build a real-time 3D map of the environment, locate people in need, and generate safe, optimal paths to help. Such algorithms could even share this information with fire departments, blood banks, hospitals, local governments, and the media, empowering first responders and maintaining public awareness. The list just goes on, but the story is the same. As human-centered AI develops the basic skills of judgment and perception that serve us well in simpler times, it can scale them to the need of an increasingly chaotic world in all the ways humans can't. In turn, our own abilities can be focused on higher-level tasks, safer, less repetitive, more creative, and ultimately more meaningful. Rather than replacing us, it can make us better at what we do. This brings us back to the pitfalls of AI. Now, it's important for all of us to remember that this is a unique time in history, and we are part of the first generation to see this technology migrate from the lab to the real world at such a scale and speed. For the first time, the ethics of AI isn't an abstraction or philosophical exercise. This technology affects real people living real lives. That makes it our responsibility to understand the full impact of this technology, to anticipate the way the world will change in response, and to guide it accordingly. In other words, it's time to make ethics a fundamental part of research and development in AI. Let's start with algorithmic bias and job loss. These are significant issues, and the solutions will take many forms. Some biases are technical, for instance, and can be addressed with statistical methods that can de-bias datasets automatically. But human measures are vital as well, such as greater representation in the tech industry. And when it comes to job loss, while technology can play a big role to reskill our impacted workforce, policy will also be essential in providing options and support for them. But the complexity don't stop here. How, for example, will our law change as AI play an increasingly collaborative role in human tasks? As human specialists rely more and more on machine intelligence, what will become of our notion of accountability? Who is liable when something goes wrong? The time has come for engineers to embrace these questions and for policymakers, legal scholars, and ethicists to help find the answers. Historically, the effect of new technologies tend to reverberate far beyond the capabilities they deliver. The automobile, for example, was simply intended to help us get around faster. But a century later, the entire world has been reshaped by highways, parking lots, and gas stations, not to mention global impact on natural resources and the climate. What will widespread intelligent machines do to our communities? How will they impact our culture? Already, we live in a world that seems to remind us of technology's pitfall on a daily basis. Intelligent technology, for all its amazing capabilities, will also raise the stakes even higher. These are big and tough questions, and they deserve to be taken seriously. They demand we dedicate time, resources, and a wide range of expertise to understand this technology, to anticipate the future it will bring, and to guide its course responsibly. And above all else, it is a call for humility. These are the three principles define human-centered AI. By ensuring its design is human-inspired, its roles in society are human-friendly, and its impact is human-safe. Now, I'd like to talk about the goals of Stanford High as an organization. Naturally, we aim to promote breakthrough research that advances the state of the art while collaborating with the brightest minds in medicine, law, economics, humanities, and many other disciplines. Next, to encourage an inclusive, ongoing dialogue, High is working to establish a global forum for thought leadership that brings together policymakers, academics, business leaders, journalists, and civic society in general. And many of you are already sitting in the audience today. We look forward to candid conversations that confront the toughest questions about our future and keep a global audience informed. High will also work to advance the depth and scope of AI education for its students, as well as promoting AI literacy beyond Stanford campus with outreach programs that train and inform leaders and practitioners in industry, government, and the media. Finally, it's not enough to simply talk about AI. We have an obligation to promote meaningful changes in the real world. This means sharing research and technology with those who can benefit most from it and delivering studies, data, and expertise that shape policy. It's no coincidence that all these are happening at Stanford. The tradition of imagination is alive and well here, and has been since the earliest days of AI. In many ways, the first chapter of AI began with the founding of the Stanford AI Lab, or SAIL, in 1963. SAIL is now home for more than 100 AI researchers, students, and visitors, including myself and my students for the past 10 years. It's where some of the foundational milestones of AI history happened, from self-driving cars to computers that can see, from algorithms that help fight cancer to robots that dive deep under the ocean. Now, we're setting an example for AI's next chapter, its transformation into a multidisciplinary field that extends far beyond the borders of computer science. This is perhaps the single greatest shift in AI's history, and Stanford is the ideal place for it. Our schools of engineering, law, medicine, education, business, humanities and natural sciences, and earth sciences will each play an important role in making AI a diverse, human-centered pursuit. But the role of academia is even more fundamental than that. It's where the imagination is truly free. Tomorrow's AI leaders will need to explore every avenue of inquiry, not just those most likely to bear commercial fruits. They'll need the same scientific freedom that fostered global cooperation on endeavors like Large Hadron Collider, not to make our phones faster or Wi-Fi cheaper, but to catch the first glimpse of the Higgs boson. It's easy to let the term artificial intelligence conjure images of automation and blinking servers. But to me, AI is a story about humanity, the human values we want our technology to embody, the people who develop it, and the communities it affects. And this is what gives me hope for Stanford High. More than anything else, the people it's made of. Many of these people are my friends, colleagues, and students here at Stanford already. My colleagues in the AI lab and the Stanford Woods Institute, for example, are working hard to better understand global poverty. Their model learns how features of satellite photos correlate with income, generating detailed maps of wealth inequality for NGOs and governments. Or my colleagues at the Stanford Computer Science Department and a School of Education, helping develop assistive tutoring agents that deliver one-on-one education to students in underserved community. Or my friends at the Stanford School of Medicine, training deep neural network on EEG data to develop novel rehabilitation therapies for stroke patients. This is what human-centered AI look like. And what's even more exciting is there's more of them coming. Just last weekend, a group of newly admitted computer science PhD students came to visit us on campus. This is an annual tradition here at Stanford, and it's an incredible experience every year. These young students come from every corner of the world, energetic, inquisitive, and bubbling with creativity. Their talent is the reason we teach, and their enthusiasm is what compels us to mentor. But something was different this year. From the moment they arrived, I found myself hounded by students who wanted to know more about human-centered AI. It wasn't just the technology fascinated them. They wanted to use it to do good in the world. One student planned to apply natural language processing to sociology. Another was interested in the intersection of robotics, medicine, and the policy questions that raises. One after another, their vision challenged and inspired me. They were compassionate, empathetic, and intensely creative. So the next time you think about AI and what it means for the future, think about people like these. They are a reminder that AI can be more, so much more than money, luxury, or convenience. It can be about a vision for a better world for everyone. This is what Stanford High was founded on, empowering bright minds to imagine the future of AI together as engineers, as scientists, as experts from innumerable disciplines, and above all, as humans. Thank you.